Hey guys, you know that feeling you get when you pick up a nail in your brand new tires the very first time you ride on them? I do. You'll have to forgive me for not pulling this out on camera, but I was curious because when I made it home from my ride, this was still holding air. And in fact, the air didn't even leak out of the tire until I pulled this out. So yeah, I'm sorry, but I didn't do that on camera. But what we've got here is basically a straight through puncture right here, almost in the center of the tire, which is a prime spot for patching and plugging. And with that, our tire ought to be good as new. So our brand new tire, despite having been punctured, is salvageable and we don't have to throw it out and get another one. So hallelujah for that. Unfortunately, what this means though is that we have to get the wheel and tire off of the bike and then the tire off of the wheel, both of which are, well, I'd rather be doing something else tonight. But there's nothing else for it, so let's get after it. Alright, with that part of the ordeal over, we need to dry the inside of the tire out and make sure that the site of our puncture on the inside is nice and clean so that we can attach our plug and patch. Go ahead and dry it out in here as best we can. Before we can install our patch, we need to clean out the wound in the tire with a tool like this. Make sure that there's not any foreign material inside there to interfere with our plug. It's going to go in there from the inside. So your tire patching and plugging kit should come with a tool like this just for this purpose. So odd as it may be, you take the tool and stab it in there. So we stab this in here, give it a couple of twists, and then pull it out. And that roughs up the inside there so that our rubber cement will stick. After running our reamer, for lack of a better term, through the hole, we also need to take a little scoring tool like this and rough up the area on the inside of the tire around where the patch is going to go. Unfortunately, I don't know that I'm going to be able to get this on camera, but this is an important step because the rubber cement won't stick to the inside of the tire if you don't do this. Alright, so our patch looks like this. You can probably imagine how this works just by looking at it, but it has this stiff little wire in this end, and this patch on this side, and the patch goes on the inside of the tire. So we poke this through the hole on the inside, and we pull it all the way through until this part rests against the inside of the tire, and we seal it with rubber cement. And those two together fill in the void and seal the puncture in the tire, and should make it good as new. So now that we've got our tire cleaned out inside, we can go ahead and apply the rubber cement to this, pull it through the tire, and then smush all the air out from under it so that it seals. So then we take our plug, and we peel the backing off here. We get our rubber cement, and we put the rubber cement on our plug. You want to make sure you get a little bit of it on the stem there. when we take the needle side and poke it through the tire, like that. See, it's sticking out? Then we pull it through there. Just like that. So we take our tire and we put it like this. So you smush the air out from between the patch and the outside of the tire. And if you really fancy, there is a special tool for that. Then you give it a few minutes to set up. Alright guys, it's a couple of days later, and I had left the tire to cure overnight, and I was disappointed to discover when I came back out here in the morning that our patch did not stick to the inside of the tire. Now there's a couple of reasons for that. One of which is, well, let me back up. When I discovered that the patch hadn't stuck, I went to where everybody goes when this sort of thing happens, the internet, and I did some research. And I ran across a video by Brian's Mobile One where he solves basically the same problem. And I looked carefully at what he did, and he did a lot more aggressive surface prep to the inside of the tire than I did when I tried to stick my patch in. So, having seen that being gentle about it didn't work, I think I need to be a little more aggressive. So tonight what I'm going to do is three things. One, I'm going to remove the old patch and get the spot ready for a fresh one. Two, when they make tires, they use a lubricant on basically the entire surface of it to get it to release from the mold when they manufacture them, that they don't clean off super well. So I'm going to use some rubbing alcohol here to see if I can clean some of that lubricant off, maybe help the adhesive stick better. And third, I'm going to do the thing that I think may make the biggest difference, which is I have a Dremel here with a sanding disc that I want to see if I can use to rough up the rubber surface around there a little more aggressively than I can do with the little metal rasp thing. So let's go ahead and start with step one, which is to remove our failed patch from right here. And to do that, we can just use our side cutters snip off a little tail doodad from the outside. And now we need to peel this off the inside. So the idea that didn't stick at all is kind of not right, but it certainly didn't stick tremendously well. And there's our failed patch. You can see that it kind of melted the rubber here, so it didn't not work, but it definitely didn't inspire a whole lot of confidence. So we're going to try this again. I'm going to use some rubbing alcohol to clean as much of the lubricant off the inside of this as we can. You can see it comes off kind of dark, so it's taken something off. So there we go. Let's see, maybe that. Something else that some of the other folks on the internet did that I thought was interesting was that they would actually drill with a drill out the hole. Now that we've got that cleaned off with the alcohol, we'll use our Dremel here and see if we can't use this as like an industrial strength rougher-upper. I think that's probably good enough. We've got quite a large area roughed up now. So I think we can maybe give our patch another shot. Also, to tip the odds in our favor, I've acquired this name brand vulcanizing cement, which is the same brand as the little mushroom patches that we're using. Somehow, I forgot to push the record button on the camera, but I've applied my rubber cement, and this new rubber cement here definitely has more of an I mean business hydrocarbon smell than the stuff that came with my tire patch kit. So that seems like a good sign. Now we're ready to apply the patch. All right, we need to put this on its side so I can see what's going on here. So we get it into the hole, and we need to wiggle it through till it comes out of our... There we go, okay. So we got our patch in the hole. Now we take some pliers, pull it through as tight as we can get it up against the inside of the tire. So now, the next thing we gotta do is get the air out from under it, and for that, there is yet another special tool. So this guy is called a stitcher, and it's used to smush the patch down onto the inside of the tire. Yeah, this seems like it's much more promising here. Patch is sticking a hell of a lot better. This seems like a good sign. Alright, so we'll go ahead and let that cure for a few minutes before we can remount our tire on our wheel. Okay, so that took about 15 psi to seat the beads on the tire. That's a good sign that beads had seated. And so now here we've got our little nipple thing. And so now we'll check for a leak right there by spraying it down with some Windex, seeing if we get bubbles coming out. And we can see there that it sure doesn't look like there's any bubbles coming out of there. So I think we're going to call this a victory. Now, we can put the wheel back on the bike. Oh, but first, we need to cut off this little pigtail. So we just get our side cutters here. Snip it off. Oh, nope. Let me zoom you in. We're leaking. Maybe? See the bubbles coming out right there? I think that's probably no good. But what we're going to do is we're going to air the tire up to 30 PS or 36 or whatever it's supposed to be. We'll come back and check it after a while and see how fast it leaks. Oddly enough, I went and had dinner and I came back and I just checked pressure in the tire and it leaked down maybe 1 PSI, but it appears to have stopped leaking. Why that is, I don't know. Maybe the rubber cement fully cured or something? Not sure. Anyway, it appears that it's stopped leaking. So I'm going to swap the tire back onto the bike, put everything back together, and maybe if the weather's nice, I'll ride it tomorrow. And yeah, we'll just see if this works. It seems to me that the leak is slow enough that as a worst case scenario, I have to replace the tire. But it's not going to like fail catastrophically, I don't think. Alright guys, following up on our little tire adventure, it's now Saturday. I think the last time we reconvened was maybe Wednesday? I think that was Wednesday. So it's been 2 or 3 days. And I left the bike in the garage with the tire on the rim mounted in the swing arm. Overnight, on I guess that was Wednesday night, came out and checked it, and it was still holding air. It was down maybe a pound or so. So I aired it back up to full, and I left it all day. And when I came home, it had gotten warmer in the garage during the day, and the pressure had actually gone up as it got warmer. So I took that as a good sign, and yesterday I rode the bike to work, and at first I thought it had gone flat. It didn't feel rock hard when I got there, but I checked it at lunchtime, and it was still perfectly fine. So I rode it home, and I checked it again, still perfectly fine. And I checked it again this morning, we're still perfectly fine. It's holding air, and it looks like our plug patch was successful. So we're going to call this a win, and I will see you in the next one.